Guys, we had probably the craziest story of the season so far coming out of the Phillies clubhouse today. Big Daddy Jeff Passan dropped an absolute bomb on us, saying that during a meeting last week between Commissioner Rob Manfred and the Phillies, Bryce Harper pretty much cussed out Manfred and told him to get the F out of our clubhouse. Now, why would Harper, who's, he's a two-time NL MVP, future Hall of Famer, why would he, go out and say this to the commissioner? Well, it's because Manfred is doing a tour of all 30 MLB teams to kind of get a sense of where players are at, especially when it comes to the collective bargaining agreement that expires at the end of the 2026 season. Now, it's no secret that Manfred and the owners want a salary cap. Baseball is the only sport in America without one, and the players, no secret, they strongly oppose it. Now, Passan says in his article that Manfred didn't specifically say the word salary cap in his meeting with the players, but just his general discussion about the economics of what's going on in baseball is what ticked Harper off. And I totally believe this too. I can just picture Manfred, in his slimy old skin walking around the Phillies clubhouse being like, geez, what the heck, guys? How can we save money without taking out of my wallet? I don't know, maybe you guys can help me out or something. I don't know. Like, oof, it gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about that. But yeah, when Manfred started dancing around the idea of a salary cap, that's when Harper got up, walked over to Manfred, got nose to nose with him, and said, if you want to speak about a salary cap, then you can get the F out of our clubhouse. But then this is a little interesting. Apparently, Manfred responded saying, no, I'm not going to get the F out of here, and that it's important to talk about the business side of baseball and how to grow the game. And hey, I've got to give it to you, Manfred. I didn't know you had some fight in you like that. I'm going to be honest, I thought you were a but hey, you might have some dog in you, I'll give you that. And then right before things apparently got really heated, Nick Castellanos, tried to cut the tension and be like, actually, I got a couple questions. Then it goes on to say Bryce and Rob would end up shaking hands, but Bryce wouldn't accept calls from Manfred the next day. And I'm glad Bryce didn't take his calls, but I also wish he hadn't shaken that puppet's hand, because shaking his hand gave Manfred some mental validation of, maybe the players will actually like me and are on my side and will actually accept the salary cap. Now, when Harper was asked about this on Monday before his game, he kind of gave a nothing burger of an answer, saying he wouldn't get into the details of what went on, which I kind of hate. I'm not gonna lie. If I was Bryce, I would kind of double down and be like, yeah, I got up in his face, so what? Honestly, if we're being real, we should bring back public shaming, especially for Rob Manfred, okay? Like, he's just trying to save his job of being a puppet for the owners. I truly do not care about this man's feelings, okay? He's making a lot of money, and I know Bryce Harper is. I'm not trying to pick one millionaire over another, but I'm just saying, more players should be calling out Rob Manfred's BS in public. God, I wish there was a video of the Phillies clubhouse. But look, if we're being realistic, there's probably gonna be a lockout. I remember even when this CBA was signed a couple years ago, people were already like, yeah, there's gonna be already another lockout when this expires. Harper even apparently said to Manfred that the players are not scared to lose 162 games, basically meaning they're willing to sit out the whole season. So yeah, this is just a crazy story that dropped on a Monday, so we'll see how this all plays out. But so yeah, when I saw this, I was super happy that a big player is calling out Manfred on his BS, and I kind of hope more players will get inspired to do the same.